Good morning. Appreciate everybody being here. Obviously, coming off the bye weekend, it was. I thought we had a good work week there last week, trying to really hone in and focus on some of the details of the fundamentals, communication, all elements of trying to help transition the work we're doing on the practice field so that it shows up there in the game to the best of our ability. I gave the guys a couple days off this weekend, be able to kind of, just refresh, clear minds, clear bodies, and spirits, and get ready to go be better this week. And that's I thought our guys came back to really good meetings and practice last night. A lot of energy, flying around. So guys definitely have a great sense of purpose for improvement, and that's our focus. And everything that we have this week to go be the best that we can be. Coaches, players, everybody involved. Trying to put our best foot forward to accomplish what we're setting out to be here for this week, and trying to block out all other things of the things that you learn from the experiences that we've had the first couple of weeks. You work to get better, but really all of our attention and focus is here on a very talented Memphis team that's coming in, and making sure that each of our players and our coaches go and do our jobs to the best of our ability with the week ahead. Do have some unfortunate news. Jalen Lucas will be out for the year. Sustained an injury there in our last game. Really disappointed for the young man. Very talented player. Explosive athlete for us. But unfortunately, he has an injury that will keep him out for the rest of the season. He does have a red shirt available, so he does have a couple years eligibility left with that. But just our thoughts are with him as he's jumping into the rehab part of recovery and with the injury, and I know he's going to do a great job of being able to continue to help the guys that are there on the field, and obviously working through his process here moving forward, but still very excited about what his future is going to be as a Seminole. But it is unfortunate we're going to lose him for the rest of the season. But like I said, it's a big week for us. We need to continue to push and challenge each other, and I think our guys have the right mindset for what is necessary as we head into this week.
Going back, I guess 3 years ago now, when you guys had a rough start, and one of the things you talked about was not changing anything, just doing what you're doing. Is the challenge any different, though, when you've had success like you've had the last couple of years, and now trying to get through something like this as opposed to the approach you took 3 years ago?
It's all it's funny because we have a good number of guys that have been here through that journey, and some guys that just about every position group has at least a player that was here during that time. And but when you reflect back to that, there was. We're still at the very beginning stages, and it was probably a bigger leap of faith then to stay the course, to trust the process of what we were doing, than what it is now. And we understand what, how, and the steps necessary for us to go be successful. That's got to translate. That's got to translate better from how we're practicing, for what we're doing in our preparation, for that to be able to show up there, in the course of the game. And I think we've all been out there. We've all seen it. We've seen the ability that our guys have shown in preparation. But for whatever reason, we have not been able to translate that. In the course of our first two games as good as it can be. And there's some elements of our consistency that need to be better, the details, the fundamentals, and then guys cutting it loose, playing fast, playing free, and going to just enjoy playing this game. And I do think there's been some moments just due to whatever situation, circumstance, where we've played tight, where we've kind of pressed a little bit. I think that when you get your opportunity to go play this game, you gotta cut it loose and just trust your training, trust the fundamentals, trust communication. The guy to the left, the guy to the right, and it doesn't mean there's not gonna be a bad thing that shows up in the course of a contest, but it's the response that you have in that. And I've got a lot of confidence in where this team will continue to grow to. I believe in the young men that we have, believe in what we're asking them to do, and it's building them for that moment. And so I've seen a good response from our team in the last week and how we've worked. I mean, everybody's disappointed, but ultimately it's disappointed knowing that we haven't played our best, and that's where we have to go take the step. So it's not there's not wholesale changes to what we're doing. Our guys believe in what and how we do it, but obviously we got to execute that, and we got to help that translate there to the course of the game.
Coach, you mentioned the word pressing multiple times over the last couple of weeks. Is that something that's contagious in the locker room? And do you think over the bye week you're able to figure out, what the issues were? Is that a confidence issue? What kind of comes of that?
I mean, it's I think a lot of elements can pour into it. Obviously, if you start a season, nobody goes into a season thinking, oh, well, hey, here's the struggles that are about to show up, or this is going to be the adversity that's going to show up. But you have a picture of what you want it to be individually, as a group, as a, offense, defense, special teams, and then collectively as a team. And when it doesn't go that way, or if you face adversity, it's how you respond in that moment. And to say confidence, sometimes I think it's guys going out there and want to do everything in their power. I would say almost not to lose, or to not to not miss a tackle, to not miss a throw, not miss a not drop a ball, or whatever that case might be. But ultimately, it's you're flipping that mindset that, man, you've trained, you prepared, go make that play, go cut it loose and enjoy the game that we get to be a part of. And obviously you'll learn from every experience that you have. And so I think that showed up a little bit more this last week, and different dynamics in the game that kind of play to that sometimes. Well, we struggled early on third downs, on both sides of the ball, and then all of a sudden they have extended drives. We're quick off the field, and then you look up and you feel like, oh man, I've got to do this, I got to do that, or you just play a little bit tighter than I'd say tighter and more hesitant in those situations. And I've talked to the team about that, and I want to see them go play this game. And we're playing a very talented team this week. One that I think is definitely a top 25 caliber team. As they come in here, and so they're probably going to make a play or two in this game. And when that happens, where do you go in that moment? I mean, that's part of college football, and being able to respond to the adversity. Also, when things are going well, responding to the success. And so I'm excited to watch our team and their preparation. Excited to see them take that to the game, and then just cut it loose and go play.
Coach, with the loss of Jalen Lucas, does that will lead an opportunity for your young running backs to step up and fill his role? Yeah,
I think you look at guys, some of those younger backs that are going to have probably more opportunities. Mekhi Danzy has moved up, and now he is practicing with the offense. He's been on the scout team units, getting him a couple more looks to see if as he grows and progresses throughout the season, if there could be opportunities there. You've definitely been very excited about what I've seen from him. We got some of the younger backs that we're going to continue to look at. I've been really pleased with those young guys' development. Obviously, Cam Davis has got a chance to get out there and make some plays there in the first couple of games. You got guys like Sam Singleton, Keziah Holmes that that I do think have really good potential and ability, and so it does I say force and open the door of opportunity for some of those guys, and they got to be ready for when their number's called.
You've talked before about how the quarterback obviously gets most of the credit when things are well, or blame if it's not going well. Can you kind of just evaluate big picture how DJ's playing, and how many of the miscommunications or errors that are happening during the course of games are on him versus the
I'm not going to get into specifics on pointing, but there have been issues, and I say issues. It's not pointing to one person, to one group. I mean, I think that we have to be more consistent overall as an offense, and there's been times where obviously he's been on point. Maybe we're a couple yards too deep on a route depth, or maybe there's a protection issue or there's different elements. Obviously, like I mentioned in the game, there's been a few missed throws that he's had, and whether that was due to a drop or progression. I mean, I think those are all opportunities for us to get better. And it's definitely not been all on him. I've really liked his mindset and his approach. He's got a lot of experience, and he understands how to play the game. He understands how to respond, to good, and obviously to responding to some of the challenges that showed up. And I think he's brought the right attitude and approach, to what we need and to what we need to continue to do, as this offense is growing together. And we all have to be better. Myself, all positions. That's part of us. Continuing to forge the identity of who we are, and then just the consistency of our execution. And like I've said, I said it coming out of the last game. I've got to do a better job of putting our guys in position to go be successful, doing the things that I know that they can do, and that's got to translate on game day.
How long do you expect to be without Jeremiah Byers, and how did Jalen Early do with his first real heavy playing time?
We'll see. We'll see how JB progresses. Not expecting that to be long term, but we'll see where that looks like as we go into the rest of this week, and if it happens to extend beyond that, what that looks like. I thought Jalen came in. This was his first extensive meaningful reps. Obviously Rob was able to start, but still working through. Some of his situations just coming off a fall camp, and we knew Jalen was going to play, and still expecting Jalen to be a part of this game and get his opportunities. But I thought there were some good things, and a few plays where trusted his technique, make sure he's playing with his eyes, that where he can be better. But all in all, I thought Jalen had a solid kind of first outing where he got extensive reps.
I know we'll talk to Adam also, but defensively, can you quantify where some of the lapses have been in terms of not being able to get off the field, third downs, things like that?
Yeah, there's been a few. It's been a kind of a big picture approach. Obviously, last week there was a few times where their quarterback did a great job of being able to extend and try to make play, and made a play to be able to extend drives. There's not been just a ton in the drop back passing game that we faced in third downs. We've played back-to-back weeks have faced quarterbacks that are extremely mobile, and whether it's a quarterback run read option game in that it definitely adds different elements and challenges to it, but that's something where we have to continue to be better. There's not been just a whole lot of straight drop back game where we've had these huge communication busts. There's been a few elements where we got to be better in just communication and making sure that we're on point with the specifics in the passing game. But ultimately we got to make sure we're stopping the run. We got to be obviously accountable to our gaps and making sure that we're doing a good job of when we have somebody with an opportunity to make a tackle, whether it's open field or in short spaces, that we get them down and you'll be able to get off the field there in those situations. But that's our big focus, and we know we got an offense that's coming in this week that is very multiple. They obviously got a strong running back. Went over 100 yards this last week. They're multiple in formation, structures what they do, and then they've got some really good receivers and one of the most experienced quarterbacks, and best quarterbacks in the country that's coming in. So we're going to have challenges in both the run and the passing game. So it's going to take all 11 guys to make sure that we're doing our job, stopping the run, and then obviously being able to limit the vertical pass and make sure we're tight in our coverages.
Hey, Coach. I just wanted to ask you about your time at Memphis. You've always talked so highly of it, said it was a special time being there. Just emotions heading into this game and what it's going to be like to play them.
I've got unbelievable respect for that program, a great love for that city. It was truly a wonderful experience when we got to live there and got to be a part of that program and continue to tried to push and elevate it, really to where it is. And I do believe it's one of the top programs in the country when you look at the success that they've had, that they've been able to sustain. Ryan, Coach Overfield, I mean he's done a great job with the program, continuing to push it on the trajectory that we were on. And you look at what they've done over the last 10, 12 years. I mean, it's really been impressive. And but this game is it's our next game. And I mean, I really Memphis will always have a special place in my heart. But I mean, this is about our players. It's about us going out there and being able to compete, improve, and get an opportunity to showcase all that we are and what we can be against a very talented team.
You guys were able to go on the road recruiting as a coaching staff. What kind of messages are you getting from recruits and sharing with recruits as you go out?
Yeah, obviously, being able to go out, it's you trying to utilize the bye week to get out and see guys, guys that are either committed to us or guys that we're continuing to evaluate for this year or next year's classes, and obviously, nobody's excited about how we start I'm talking about ourselves. Like, we're not excited about how the start of the season has gone, but obviously we know where we're heading, and we have a tremendous amount of belief in the guys that we have and the guys that we're bringing into the program that's going to continue to help us ascend to ultimately where we want to be. And there's great excitement for opportunity, and ultimately a belief in where those steps are necessary for us, and for these guys that are going to come in. The opportunity to be able to impact and continue to push this program forward. So, the message hasn't changed a whole lot, in regards to that. And, I believe in what we're doing and the guys that we're going after.
How much does it help that you finally have a normal work week, and now that menu of what you're looking at on the opponent is so much smaller because you actually have film?
Yeah, and that is something I'm grateful for. This week is a more regular week, for us, and so it's good getting started last night, and being able to see at least a couple of games. Watching Memphis from this year, getting a sense of the personnel, how they're utilizing the personnel. Like I said, it's a talented group, and we know that still early in the season. I mean, they've won both their first couple of games, really handedly. They haven't probably had to dip a ton into the menu of things that they do. Very well coached team, and so we fully expect that we're still going to see different elements of things schematically, but it is good to be able to get a better sense of how these guys have aligned and how they're being utilized within the course of the offense, defense, and special teams.
When it comes to giving new guys opportunities to perform in games, I mean, they have to earn those opportunities, but is it enough if the guys in front of them aren't playing good enough? Does that give them the opportunity to then be able to help out the team in a game?
Yeah, I mean, our job is to play the players we believe are going to give us the best opportunity to go win games, and we want to continue to push to see that in game. We want to continue to see that in practice, but it definitely has to be earned, and obviously we're going to continue to push at every position to see that, to evaluate that, and obviously work to see that show up on game day.
Coach, I know you mentioned about preparing for Memphis. Well, thoughts about having to get a chance to see Ryan Silverfield again? I had a chance about seeing Ryan Silverfield again.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm grateful for Ryan, and obviously he was a part of the first staff there at Memphis. Was actually I think the only coach that was there from the beginning to the entire 4 years. A lot of guys got different opportunities, and obviously we're able to go and whether get promotions or different jobs. And Ryan had his opportunities, but he chose to stay and be a part of what we were building there. And I'm just so excited for him and the opportunity he gets to lead that program. And like I said, he's done a great job with it. We stay in touch. Definitely somebody I got a lot of respect for, and he will definitely be there.
At the BC game, Hakeem was going through some warm-up stuff, but he wasn't available that day. When he does come back, what can he help in terms of not just the passing game but also the running game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fully expecting Hakeem to be available this week and to play, and he really had a good fall camp. He was on track for what we were, what we believe he can be, and he's taken some positive steps. Still needs to get to grow and do that. But obviously you get another big, fast, strong receiver that. We feel has an opportunity to win one-on-ones, get an opportunity to showcase those attributes in the passing game, but like I said, also in the running game. And that's something that we've got to continue to build upon on the perimeter. We faced a good number of looks where guys, the secondaries are getting incorporated heavily in the run fits, and so how can receivers help when it comes to that? And that's something that you look at Memphis, the secondary. That's one with the type of defense they play. I mean, I think it's as good of a secondary of fitting the run, fitting being physical out there on the edge, getting involved in and being disruptive on the perimeter game. So we need all of our receivers to come and bring obviously their best when it comes to that. But Akeem is somebody that I'm very excited about, and I think he can be a big play receiver for us, but also a steady and consistent force. I'm really proud of Kentron and what he was able to do in the last game, and he looked more like his old self of a speed and being able to get in our routes, and obviously had some big plays down the field. So definitely looking forward to what Hakeem can bring, but also the continued growth from those guys on the outside.
Coach, there's been some changes in college football this fall. The tablets on the sideline, the 2-minute timeout, I guess they call it now. How comfortable have you been feeling with that through 2 games, and how much do you think it's helped or hurt the team through the first couple of weeks?
No, I mean, I think the helmet communication was something that was been good. We've worked a good amount of that throughout the course of spring. To be honest with you, like the tablet, the first time we got to use it was in Ireland, and with the construction here at the stadium, it was there was some challenges just with everything how it's wired. So I mean that's still a little bit of a work in progress. With us, and kind of the best ways. I think our guys have done a nice job, in the communication and being able to do that in the course of the game. But I still think there's some different elements of what is best. How does that best fit us? The information that we need to see, the communication of that, and then still making sure that we're transitioning that to the next series, the next to the next half or whatever that dynamic might be as we're rolling through that. So it's a definitely still a work in progress, but feel comfortable when it comes to all of it. All right, thank you guys.
Coach Norvell was saying that one of the challenges he feels like is getting the guys to transition what they do in practice to the field on game day. I'm sure that's not the first time that's happened. Like, what are some things you guys can do to help that process?
Experience of doing it the right way and having it carry over. When we make it a bigger deal of what it is, you got to practice well to have a chance to play well, and then you got to transition that to the next, which I think is your question, right? And so I just think, you're trying to mount on success, whether that's in practice or whether that's in the game. So, I mean, there's no question we need it to transition. Is practice perfect? No. But I do adhere with Mike that I do think our guys are going about their work in the right way. As coaches, we got to continue to reevaluate. Okay, if you think it's successful in practice, it's not translating, go back and maybe look at the structure you're doing in practice and maybe giving them the situations in maybe a different way. Because it's never acceptable to fail. And so you're constantly trying to reevaluate what you're doing in the practice to have it carry over to the game. We've had points here that we played really good in the first half and didn't come out great in the second half, or vice versa. We've tried to bring those situations into practice to try to replicate those situations. You know, in the game, you know, I wish I could say, hey, listen, it was just this third down play, and then we would fix that. But, you know, we got to obviously do a better job in the run game, which will create better opportunities on third down to be better, and then we got to play better in the red zone. So, you know, there's a lot of things that we're addressing, hopefully coming out of this week. As we get another week to work on these things, you know, we see those things show up on game day, which is obviously what everybody wants, players included.
How has tackling been in the 2 games? And with the fact that there's not a whole lot of taking people down to the ground in practice anymore, how do you go about fixing tackling in real time?
Yeah, well, there's fundamentals to tackling, and, you know, we work hard at it in practice. You know, for first question, how has it been in the game? Not good enough. And, you know, there's all different types of tackles, but, you know, everybody's got the same challenge. You know, it's not a Florida State thing that all of a sudden we tackle less in practice. It's just the execution of what you're asking the players to do, who you're asking to do it, and what situations they're being put in. You know, and you have to believe as a defender that tackling is always up to you. It has nothing to do with the opponent. Skill level, the type of situation you're in the tackling. So, you know, we've worked a lot of different drills. We continue to work it. It was a big emphasis here in the last week, even coming out of it. We've gone about and sometimes we supplement some of the tackle drills with some sled work. Sometimes we do it with some space. Sometimes we do it with other humans. You know, the standard of what it's got to look like when you are practicing against our offense or our scout teams, making sure that finish is the best way you can make it so that it does show up on game day. So, you know, listen, our job is to obviously stop the ball, whether that's getting it back or creating stops, and tackling is a big part of it. So we're trying to get the right guys in the right positions to do it with the right technique and get that to happen again and again.
Coach, after the game on Monday, Cam Riley and DJ Lundy said that the guys weren't fully trusting each other on defense, that players were almost trying too hard. Did you notice that too while going back and watching the film, and how do you sort of course correct that?
Yeah, I don't, you know, I respect what Cam and DJ said about, you know, pressing or trying too hard, whatever. You know, I understand what they mean by that. I don't think that's real from a standpoint, but I do think it's real of just when you're playing football and, you know, you've worked it all week and, okay, this is how it's going to play, and then maybe it doesn't get done really clean, so the next time it happens, all right, I got to make sure I do this and then react to this, and that's when things start to break down. And, you know, I think to play defense nowadays, you got to be able to understand where the leverages are, trust your teammates, make sure things are getting executed so that you can go execute in a fast, clean way. And, you know, DJ's been in the defense for a number of years. You know, Cam's getting the reps. But I think Cam will tell you, you know, that some of that showed up on Monday where, you know, I've got this job to do, this happens, my reaction time just wasn't fast enough. And so, you know, we're trying to invest every second of every week we can to make sure those reactions happen in a way that we're having success on game day.
The third downs, especially early in that Boston College game, I know the wheel route seemed like a bit of a thing, but I guess was there a common theme of was it? I know Coach Travell talked about communication or things like that. I guess a common theme of what was going wrong
on third downs. Yeah, I mean on third downs, you know, we lump them all together, right? Of what third downs are, and you know, going back to the Georgia Tech and the red zone, right? You know, there's red zone stops, there's third down stops. They're all not the same, but the end result needs to be the same, which is getting the stop. You know, 3rd and 1s and 2s are a little bit different than 10s and 11s. So first things first is we're trying to create as many of the longer situations as possible because that's obviously to our advantage. You know, on the 1s, 2s, and 3s, you're trying to make a decision of how aggressive to be because obviously the more aggressive you are, that leaves you light on a couple other areas. But, you know, our third down defense it hasn't been good enough. You know, in a lot of those situations have been in the mediums to shorts. And so, you know, if you go through it for the entire year and you're defending a lot more of the 3rd and 4s to 3s to 2s to 1s, it's going to be hard. And, you know, you got to get stops in those distances. You know, but I think the first things first is we got to go play better on 1st and 2nd down, right? and create those longer situations so that we can really be the aggressor. But no matter what happens, I mean, however it gets to be third down, obviously our goal, we got to get off the field and we got to do a better job. And whether that comes to trusting your fits, trusting your leverage, or making the tackles, as Chris brought up, those are all things that are ingredients to playing better defense.
How would you evaluate the defensive line and especially from game 1 to game 2? Any different or similar?
A little bit better, Ira. I thought, especially in the A and B gaps, I thought we were a little bit more physical and stout at the point of attack on some of those inside runs. I think we can be a lot better on the edges of just making sure our eyes are right. And, there were some really good clips, that we tried to make sure, hey, this is what we do it right. This is what it looks like. But there was still too many space created plays, and whether that was because of footwork, whether that was because of eyes, whether it was because of this play might happen, let me defend it and then fall back to my main job. So those are all things that have to be tightened up from the outside in. But I think from the inside out, I did feel better presence, better point of attack physicality. Was it good enough? No. But the question of was it better, I did feel it was.
When it comes to like some of the pre-snap stuff at the second and the third level where guys are communicating to each other before the snap, are the right things being seen and communicated, and how can the guys make sure that the message is being heard when a guy's yelling out a change to a teammate?
Yeah, well, those things have to happen in practice, which build the trust. And, there are definitely ways that communicating gets checked off, right? I've always said there needs to be a communicator. There needs to be loud, concise, and clear, but there's got to be a listener too. And there's got to be confirmation of those listeners so everybody understands, okay, we are on the same page. Because it's not like grammar where there's a comma, then a period, then a question, then it doesn't happen that way. Sometimes things happen quickly. Sometimes they happen more deliberately. And those are all based off the offense's tempo or how quickly the motions happen or the shifts happen. But those are things that we practice constantly, and you're never going to be exactly clean for the rest of the year at any point in practice, right? It takes consecutive communications, in each day there needs to be a standard because it does carry over, but you can't take anything for granted within that. Whether that comes to defending the wheel route or it becomes to leveraging the run, tackling is tackling. But, I do think, we are getting better at it. We are playing some players, and, the reason we're playing a good amount of players is because we're trying to get better. We're trying to find the real right combination of guys and making sure we have the right guys playing with each other. And I wish I had it, hey, this is exactly how it's going to be for the rest of the year, but it's not that way yet. And so, the communication allows you to play faster and allows you to trust each other. And, those are something that, are fully emphasized, but I got to continue to find ways to maybe emphasize it in different ways. And that's the job of mine.
Coach, following up on the defensive line, all the starters have played well over 50% of the snaps through 2 games so far. Has that mostly been because of the way the games have played out, or do you expect them to play that much, throughout the season?
Well, for sure the first game because of the low snap count. Some of these, you put both those games together. We never say, hey, this Y is going to play a little bit more than 50% of the game. But typically, if you're in these games that are, full 4-quarter games, the reps are probably going to play a little bit closer to that way. It's when you really, those starters drop below 50% is usually when you're in really good position in the game and you're able to a little bit more freely roll them. But we want to play at least 8 to 9 defensive linemen. That's how we believe in winning the football game. And at the end of the day, that's the job. We're trying to win the game. And so, whether that comes to maybe a starter's got to play less because he's not playing well, and then those numbers are going to change a little bit. We emphasize and get Nussi in there more game 2 than we did game 1. And there'll be other instances of that. But as the weeks go by in practice, sometimes guys are more limited and maybe the rep's going to change. then they become more active in the game, and so definitely all things that we're looking at.
Is obviously Coach Silverfield was there when you guys were there. Has he changed the offense much, and what kind of challenges do they present?
Well, this is his second offensive coordinator, so it's changed a little bit in that way. Ryan's a really good football coach. He's an O-line coach by trade, but I would say the offense has changed since Coach Norvell left. I think it was more similar than when they made the last coordinator change and they hired Tim Cramsey, who I coached with at Marshall University for my last year there. So I think it has changed some. There are some similarities with what they do up front. And again, Ryan's the head football coach, so I'm sure he's got a big hand on it.
Coach, when it comes to getting all these things fixed, is it laying everything out that we need to get fixed, or do you guys look at it more methodically as if we get this thing fixed first, that'll kind of be a waterfall effect where it'll make this thing easier to correct and then that thing easier to correct and things like that?
Yeah, I think for sure, right? When you're talking about maybe stopping a run, you can't say, well, you just do this and stop that run, and then the next one is going to be wide open, right? So I think every decision you make, obviously it could filter through other things, right? You can't just say, well, they're going to run the ball, make sure you put everybody in this position. Well, then if they do this. But I do think, us being able to establish a better job of up front, at linebacker, tackling in the back end, supporting the run, and then making sure that you're good on the plays off of those plays, I think is primary. But it starts with, just being more secure, in the run game and making sure we're doing a much better job with that. But understanding that anytime you find a solution, that solution can't just be to stop that one problem. Initially, it needs to be, or else you'll keep facing it. But then the reaction to what people will do when you solve something is there's got to be a reaction of thinking ahead on that as well.
Coach Blake Nicholson got the start. Juice Cryer got some playing time. For those guys to get significant reps, it may not have always looked good, but they can go over film with you. They can apply it in practice. Those kind of corrections, those learning experiences. Have you kind of seen how is that growth development part of their learning process?
You see the confidence. You see, there's really, I do believe that the more intense you are in your preparation, it creates some form of experience. But there is some forms of, you've got to be out there to be able to be in the mix, to be able to have to go through those communications with, different people and be able to have to react to things that happen to you on the field, that both Blake and Juice are really, it's happening for them for the first time in true live action. And I think we're seeing the growth in Blake. Want to continue to see that. And then, with Juice, obviously game one didn't see much action. Game two saw a lot more. And, he's earned the right to get those opportunities because I do believe he loves this team. He loves football. And I do believe that he gets a lot better every time we put him out there. Okay. Thanks, guys. See y'all.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, the special teams have gotten off to a good start, especially punter and kicker. In terms of like ways that group can impact the game, is there not an added pressure, but like is there added focus on just trying to impact games to help the offensive defense?
You know, I mean, I think Alex and Ryan are both off to good starts. You know, biggest thing that they can do is just stay within themselves and continue to do what they've done in the first couple weeks. You know, I think Alex can be a weapon, you know, in terms of affecting field position, and certainly turn the field over. You know, a couple weeks ago in that game against Boston College, and you know, Ryan just got to stay consistent. You know, he's doing a great job on his kickoffs, and when he has opportunity to score points, he's going out there and he's getting it done. So for those guys, I just want them to continue to build on what they're doing and help out in any way they possibly can. But you know, they can only stay within themselves to be able to be the best that they can be.
Coach shared the sad news about Jalen being out. You know, how does that change your guys' return picture going forward?
Yeah, you know, first off, I hate it for him because he's worked really hard and invested a lot into what this was going to be. So anytime something like that happens, you hate it for you know, him and what he has to go through. But you know, we have capable guys back there. You know, so if you look at punt return, you know, I think Malik and Luane are going to be the two guys that we kind of turn our attention to and our focus to. And then in the kick return game, you know, we have guys that can do it, but Deuce obviously has done it before and been really good for us. So, you know, we're going to evaluate that as this week goes and kind of see what kind of decisions we come to at the end of the week. But, you know, I think I feel confident in both those units to be able to go out there and be effective with either person that's back there in punt return and the group of guys that could be back there in kick return.
Setting the edge, game 1 to game 2, how did the group do, and what do they have to continue to improve upon?
You know, I thought, generally speaking, from a physicality standpoint, I did see some progress in terms of how we played the run. You know, and it's always kind of an interesting thing because the perception, obviously, from a defensive end standpoint is that your role and responsibility is an edge setter, but that's not necessarily always the case. I mean, in a lot of cases, our ends spill the ball, which means they have an inside leverage on a puller. So, you know, and some of those things it's hard to see without knowing what the schemes are and what they're being asked to do. But, you know, I did think that from a physical standpoint, I saw a lot of progress in how we played some of those gap schemes, the counters. And when we played them well, we stopped them. You know, there was still a couple times it got a little bit loose, which we need to continue to address and fix. But I do think, you know, in the last 2 weeks or week plus of practice that we've had, we are trending in the right direction in terms of making some of the improvement that we need to make and being better against the run.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about Byron Turner's 15-yard penalty on the touchback. What did you see happen, and then what do you tell a veteran like that when he makes a not-so-smart play?
You know, it was, you know, a momentum changer in the game. You know, we had just scored to go down one score game, and you know, had a touchback, and you know, it was one of those things that happened in full speed that I didn't even see it. It happened on the far sideline. I didn't see how it played out. Obviously, grabbed an iPad and saw what happened. And the biggest thing is that in the moment, you know, not allowing frustrations of the game or frustrations of the situation to ever take over. You know, because you know, that's just a play that we can't have that set up some poor field position for us, and one that as a whole football team we need to learn from, because you know, that's out of character for him. You know, it's the first time I remember him getting any kind of undisciplined penalty in a situation like that, and we just got to get better from it as a whole team.
For a lot of reasons, his name being one of them, but also the fact he came from Georgia like Jermaine did. Like, I think people had these huge expectations for Marvin. How is he handling the start to his time here? Is he taking things in from a big picture standpoint, or is he frustrated about how it's going?
Well, I mean, I think across the board, you know, everybody, coaches, players, everybody involved in this program has a little bit of that frustration over how everything started. Marvin wouldn't be any different in that. I don't know that it has anything to do with anything other than he just, you know, wants to be the very best that he can possibly be. And one of the things that I want him and all of our guys to do is try to simplify it a little bit. Go back to trying to have some fun playing the game. You can't change anything that's already happened at this point. You can learn from it. Go out and be the best that you can possibly be. And if you can do that, you can live with that at the end of it. And that's what I want his focus to be, but really it's what I want all of our guys' focus to be.
I think through those first 2 games, there might have been like a combined 32 dropbacks from Boston College and Georgia Tech. But Memphis seems to, I don't want to say like they're maybe not as balanced, but is the opportunity there for maybe this pass rush that hasn't had the opportunity to affect the game? Are you guys seeing that as a potential opportunity to get into that team into negative plays and giving you guys more leverage?
Well, I think it's twofold. I think one part of it is, and it's something we talk about up front a lot, is you got to earn the right to rush the passer, meaning we got to be able to stop the run on first and second down and put people in those situations on third down where we can rush the passer. So, we haven't dictated terms in the first 2 games like we want to, so that's part of it. And then from what an opponent's strength and what their kind of identity is, we've faced 2 teams that do have a run-first, identity in what they do. As we get into our schedule, there will be teams that might be more of a throw identity teams coming into it that will give us more pass rushing situations. But bottom line is obviously we don't control what plays we're seeing. We got to put people in a situation where they feel like they have to throw the ball, and the only way you do that is to come out and stop the run early, and then when we have our opportunities, take advantage of them to rush the passer.
A few years ago when you guys had a tough start to a season, one of the things Coach Norvell talked about was just keeping the same message to the recruits and the current players. Obviously, you guys had a couple hits. I know you can't speak specifically in recruiting, but how can you guys kind of fortify the message to the recruits and keep those guys? What were the conversations like this weekend, I guess?
I think the biggest thing with our current roster and also for the guys that you're recruiting is continue the message of the belief in what the values of this program are. It wasn't an accident that we went from where we were in 2020 to where we were in 2023, and to think that everybody in the program or the philosophy of what we're trying to get done has totally been lost is that's not real. Now, has this year started the way that we wanted to? Certainly not. But if you believe in what this program is about, if you believe in the culture, if you believe in the values, then let it play out a little bit and see, because I believe in what this team can do. I believe in where this program can continue to head, and we got to right the ship. But the message to our players and to everybody that we want to have involved in the program is if you believed in it before, just have a little faith, because we believe in what we're doing here.
Anything else for Coach?
Awesome. Thank you.